We are live.
And we're live. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Vermont's Hour of Code guest speaker series, sponsored by the Agency of Education, VitalLearn, and the Vermont Google Educator Group. I'm Lucy DeLabriere, VitalLearn's Ignite Coordinator, and I'm joined here by Elizabeth McCarthy, who also serves as a VitalLearn rep and co-facilitates the Vermont Google Educator Group with me. Let's just start by talking a little bit about our sponsors. The Vermont Agency of Education is out visiting schools this morning, so we'll probably not see them in the Hangout. We'll see them probably add to the Q&A a little bit later. Elizabeth, why don't you tell us a little bit about what Google Educator Group is before we get started?
Yeah, I'd love to, Lucy. This is the second of the series. I'm really excited to see today's. But I'm Elizabeth, and I'm a Google Education trainer, and I work with Lucy and a lot of Google educators around the world. A Google Educator Group, and we have one in Vermont, but there are regional groups around the world of educators who share their knowledge and understanding of using the Google tools and ecosystem for teaching and learning. And it's a really active group and community. We have our Vermont group where we have live events as well as online events like this. And we bring expertise into your classroom and offer workshops at conferences and actually in the regional VitalLearn meetings across the state. We have a Google Educator Group in Vermont in the Google Plus communities. So if you're interested in just asking a question or sharing your knowledge with the Google tools, join that community. So if you go to Google Communities and go to GEG Vermont, you'll see our community. Hope to see you there. And what we do also is help you work out how to use Hangouts for meetings like this. And also in your classroom, there's a lot of educational uses to using Hangouts like this.
Absolutely, which is one of the reasons Vermont Google Educator Group chose to participate in this. And VitalLearn is our ISTE affiliate for Vermont. Our educational technology teachers and other professionals are involved with VitalLearn. And obviously the Agency of Education is a prime organization to support educational technology in Vermont. We're also joined here by Vermont students and teachers from Proctor Senior High School, and I'll let them introduce themselves before we introduce our guest speakers. Hey Proctor, how you doing?
Good. So I'm Brianna Bernstein.
I'm Miranda Martin.
I'm Brianna Roberts.
And what grade level are you guys in, ladies?
We are all in 7th grade.
Right. Welcome. And next, our special welcome to our host today, and they are Yvonne Jouffrault and Kevin Lawver from Kodestars.com. And I had the pleasure of meeting them in my travels down the United States East Coast in our bus where we live full-time, and we arrived in Savannah, Georgia during a special weekend called Geekend, and Kevin and Yvonne were putting on a arcade for students launching their product Kodestars. I'm so excited that they are going to be here, and I'll turn things over to them to tell us a little bit about Kodestars, about their role in developing Kodestars, and even in supporting students who are interested in coding.
Thank you very much, Lucy. I'm Yvonne Jouffrault, co-founder of Kodestars, and thank you so much again for having us on this morning. Everything's working? Okay. So the idea for Kodestars came about earlier this year. Can everyone hear me? Kevin and I, who both work for technology startups. I have a startup called Tour Buddy Apps, and Kevin works for a New York-based startup that he can tell you more about. We also both have kids who are in elementary and middle school, and like everyone else, we were brainstorming as to how can we get our kids more excited about coding. There's currently not a lot of opportunities in school, which is something that's hopefully changing. And so we came up with the idea for the Kodestars Arcade, which is an online arcade that kids can create video games using a host of fairly user-friendly tools out there like Scratch and Stencil. And then they can upload their games to the online arcade, and other students and kids can see all the games that they've created and show off their own games. And we've also added the ability for educators and schools to create their own arcade, which is what the Kodestars Arcade at Geekend was. It was all of these games that were created specifically for the Geekend Arcade. And the reason for this is everyone knows kids love to play video games. Actually, most of us love to play video games. So why not give them the opportunity to build their own games and become content creators instead of just content consumers? And going through the process of building a video game allows them to go through that process of ideation, where they actually think about, what do I want to build, and then think about the steps of how am I going to go about building that, and then using tools like Scratch, which don't actually involve writing code. You can just drag and drop these little code commands into line. So then students have the ability to actually create these, then see the results and have a certain sense of pride in their creation, all without actually having to learn the hard part of coding. And the benefits of this are not just that everyone's going to grow up to be a coder, like Kevin. I, for example, am not a coder, but just in understanding that logical process and the problem-solving process, it can be applicable to a lot of different things in life. And for people like me who grow up to found startup companies and work with technology, in understanding the process of how that technology is built and the components, you to have a better understanding of the products and the process of creating them, which is good for everyone. So that's sort of like the reason that we created it. And our Kodestars.com launched a few months ago. It's still in beta, but we already have a few arcades, and starting this month, every game that's submitted through any of the arcades will be available through our main Kodestars arcade. So anyone can go on and look at all of these great games that students have created, and students will also have the ability to go and submit their game independently of an arcade if they wanted to. Kevin, would you like to talk more about building our arcade?
Sure. So Kodestars is built in Ruby on Rails, which is a framework for building web applications. It's, as far as Rails apps go, it's pretty simple, very straightforward. There's a little bit of JavaScript. My favorite thing that it does is when you submit a game, a little worker goes out and takes a screenshot of the web page that your game is on, and that becomes the screenshot for your game. So yeah, a couple questions. We don't have kids from, someone asked, do you have kids from all over the world adding games? Not yet. All of our arcades so far are US local. They're in Vermont and or Savannah, and there are a couple others from other places. But hey, there's nothing stopping people in Azerbaijan from creating arcades and submitting games. The next one, how do you make it a safe environment for kids, and can anyone comment on their games? There's this law called COPPA that I don't remember what it stands for, but it's supposed to protect kids under the age of 13 from predatory websites. So we've done our best to implement all of those rules. So, like, you shouldn't use your real name. There's no email. No one can contact you via your email. Right now, there's no commenting on games. We're working on doing that in a way that's COPPA compliant. It's a fun challenge. But yeah, you're hopefully in Kodestars, you're sort of hidden behind whatever nickname you give yourself, and there's no personally identifiable stuff going on there. Oh, this is a fun one. The next question is, do you have any ideas about ways we can help schools understand how important coding is and how they can work it into their curriculum? Um, Technology is eating the world, and in many cases, the world's already been eaten by technology. It's not going to be very much longer until any professional job that you have will have some elements of programming in it, whether it's Excel formulas or managing people who code, and unless you are familiar with the lexicon and how to make computers do what you want, you're going to be stuck. I don't know how you're going to get by. And how you can work it into the curriculum, it should be a part of everything. Like if you're doing math, you could do it in Excel. You could do it with a command line thing like Ruby. And I don't know. I think there's so many things out there now. Like it's so much easier now to learn how to code than it was when I was a kid. That it's insane. There's so much stuff out there. And part of the goal of Kodestars is to sort of collect some of that stuff and make it easier for you to find resources about creating games. There's a lot more to coding than just creating games, but games are a really fun way to introduce it. I'll stop stealing all the questions.
Well, speaking of introducing it into schools, we have some students here from Proctor schools, from the middle school in Proctor, and they've been participating in technology in their classroom in a way that I think is pretty exciting. And I'm going to let them talk a little bit about what's happening at Proctor School to help them prepare for this type of world. Take it away, Proctor.
So I am the remote instructor for Proctor, and Proctor is contracting through VTVLC to offer these programming classes. So these three girls here are currently taking Introduction to Programming in Scratch. And Bree, do you want to, Miranda, can you guys hear me? Do you want to talk a little bit about the class you're taking? You're writing down questions? Tell us a little bit about the class you're taking.
You're muted.
They're muted. Can we unmute? Can we unmute the girls for a second? Okay, so we can hear you now.
Okay, so from the beginning of the year when we first started this class, we've just been kind of working on different projects, I want to say, with different modules in Scratch. Anyway, so as we go along deeper and deeper into the school year, we've been getting into some more complicated and complex projects. So it's kind of cool, in my opinion, because as we go farther along in the projects, they all kind of start to come together. So I think that's one personal thing that I really like about it.
And so in the 7th grade, what they have is they slowly introduce you into the Scratch programming, but then once you get up to 9th grade, they do some actual coding that you have to start to learn. So.
Oh.
So I think that's a good explanation of what they've been working on.
And Jen, can you talk a little bit about the 9th grade option for these students?
So the 7th graders are doing the Scratch programming, which is what they were talking about with the clicking the block bits of code together. But the 9th graders are working in Python, which is a programming language that's actually used in the industry and is pretty popular right now. It's definitely more challenging because, unlike in Scratch, you can really have a lot of typos and you can make a lot of little mistakes. And Scratch kind of simplifies the process for you. So the 9th graders are learning Python, and it's a semester-long course. And at the end of it, they'll know the basics of programming. Just because we're using Python doesn't mean they wouldn't be able to generalize those concepts to other languages. Most programming languages are, related and have similar structures. So I think they're enjoying it in the 9th grade. It is a new thing that they're trying out, that Proctor's been trying out this year.
And you're telling me that every single ninth grader is taking computer programming at Proctor High School?
Yes, I've only seen half the 7th graders so far and half the ninth graders, but I am going to see the other half of the entire class in the spring. So by the end of the year, all of the 7th graders will have taken a Scratch class, and all of the ninth graders will have taken a class in Python programming.
That's pretty amazing. Do you know any other schools in Vermont that are offering it at that level for every student?
I don't think so. I mean, there's other schools that offer it as an elective, as an option, but I haven't heard of another school that's having everybody take the classes. I think Proctor's probably only one at this point.
And they're lucky to have you as an instructor. From what I hear, you used to teach AP programming. Is that correct?
Yep, I taught AP Comp Sci for 6 years. Yeah, that was kind of fun. I'm kind of hoping to teach it again. It's a kind of an interesting class as well. But it's been really interesting working with these younger kids and seeing, you know, what they're really able to do an awful lot in 7th grade. These girls have created some pretty complicated programs. Miranda did this maze program that had like 7 different levels. Like you defeated one boss and then there was the next boss, and it was just really complex. So the 7th graders have really been able to do a huge amount. It's really been very impressive.
There's a question for the girl up here. It says, for the girls, has this given you any ideas about careers or passions that you might not have had before?
Well, let's see. For me, at first when they said that we were going to be starting a new program with game designing, I thought, oh my gosh, how am I going to do this? I don't have any idea at all. But now as we're getting, like I said before, deeper and deeper into the school year, it's becoming like more clear, and I think there's a good chance that I might want to grow up and do something like this on like either as a career or in my free time, because this has been a pretty cool experience for me.
Yeah, I think it's really kind of opening up technology for the entire class, because it's pretty fun to do and explore.
So are you young ladies interested in getting your games out so other people could play them, like on the Kodestar website?
Yes.
Yeah.
Recently, for yesterday, since it was like National Hour of Code Day, we had all of the game design students in 7th grade. We all had to submit our best project, and we submitted them on the Kodestar website. So that was pretty fun yesterday.
That's great.
Thank you very much, ladies. Are there any other questions or comments from our Kodestar founders, maybe?
I did see a question come by about how kids can get started if they want to turn this into a career, and I think it's one, start now. Coding is fun. It's a great way to build problem-solving skills, because honestly, 90% of writing code is fixing your own problems and troubleshooting, and the better you can get at that now, the easier it will be later on. If you want to get started with like actual code that's fairly easy, start on the website with HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. I'm glad to hear they're teaching Python in 9th grade. That's very close to Ruby. It's object-oriented. And then, yeah, start moving to the back end. But really, start with a problem that you want to solve, and then find programming languages and tools that help you solve that problem. You're going to have a lot more fun if you're scratching an itch and solving your own problem than if you do something completely theoretical.
Thank you. And I believe there are some great options for students to learn Ruby also. So after you guys are done with Python, you might want to check into Ruby for Kids and a few of the other options for kids to get started with the language that Kevin was talking about.
There's a great book by Chris Pine, not the Star Trek Chris Pine, a different Chris Pine, called Learn to Program. It uses Ruby, but is a really good introduction to just the fundamentals of writing code and making computers do what you want.
And I hear you're going to be teaching some fourth graders this week, Kevin. Can you tell us about that?
Yes, I'm going to be teaching a bunch of fourth graders HTML using Mozilla's Thimble. It's a really nice web-based text editor for writing HTML. It's great. Webmaker.org is a really great site for learning all the front-end technologies. Yeah, I'm going to try it out, see how they do. I did it at our STEM night for a couple fifth graders, and they loved it. So I'm going to try it on fourth graders and see how it goes.
Great. Maybe we can put all these resources in the comments of this event. Anything else, Elizabeth, that you saw come in the chat?
Actually, I think those were all the questions that we got to, I'm hoping. Let me scroll through again.
Excuse me?
Yes.
We had a couple of questions, and we can't really figure out how to work the type-in one.
Well, you're here in live, so you can ask them live.
So this question is for Kevin. What got you into the idea of gaming? And also Yvonne.
For me, gaming is a great introduction to coding because in video games you solve problems, you level up, you make something on a computer, whether it's your DS or a PS3 or Xbox or whatever, do what you tell it to, and that seems like a great place to start to make it a short jump to making your own game. You know, kids play so many different kinds of games now that the design stuff is fairly well understood, and every kid that I've ever met has an idea for a game, and so I wanted to shove them out of the plane with the parachute and say, hey, you have an idea? Go build it. Do it. It's not hard.
Something I wanted to add to that is, to me, the importance is confidence. One of the students mentioned that she was a little bit intimidated by the idea of building a game and coding at first, but now that she's gotten into it and she's figured out that it's something that she can accomplish, and that feels really good. And to me, I think the first step is really just having the confidence and saying, I can do this. And when you start with a game, it gives you a goal to achieve, like something that like an easy win. So this is what I want to build, and then I'm gonna figure out the steps to build that. Versus, I took computer science in my senior year of high school, and we just spent a lot of time staring at a screen, typing codes, and there was never really a point to it. It didn't get me excited because I didn't really understand what we were trying to accomplish. So to me, the idea of games is it's fun, and it gives people an endpoint that allows them to sit back and say, look, I built this, and this is cool. And hopefully, the next step is, for some kids, they're going to take it to the next level, and they're going to spend hours a day staring at screens, writing code. And for other kids, it'll just give them that confidence that they can do this, and that they can go on and tackle the next thing in the same way. And identifying what your goal is, and then identifying the steps to build it, which is problem solving.
Absolutely, Yvonne.
I don't think we have any more questions that you guys haven't answered yet.
Great. Well, we really appreciate you being here. Thank you so much, Kevin and Yvonne from Savannah, Georgia, for joining us up here in Vermont. And thank you, Brianna, and Miranda from Proctor High School, Junior High School, and for helping me host the events today, with Sigrid from the Agency of Education, who is in the Q&A. And thank you so much, Elizabeth, for showing us the powerful use of Google tools and how they can expand learning opportunities. And thank you, everyone, for watching us out there. Hope you take advantage of the wonderful resources available to help you experience coding this week. The Vermont Agency of Education, Vital Learn, and GG Vermont have put together a site at thinkaboutcode.blogspot.com where you can add your pictures and your videos, submit your games to Kodestar, where you'll see the Kodestar Vermont of our code gallery, and watch more of these events in our series of guest speakers this week. Thank you, and code on.
Thank you very much.
Bye, everyone. Thank you. It was great.
Bye, Vermont.
Bye.
Yeah, bye.